Well, welcome to the 700 Club. The winter storm that barreled across the Midwest and onto the East Coast brought massive amounts of snow. It created chaos on the highways and made a mess of air travel, with hundreds of flights canceled and thousands of passengers stranded.
Well, this storm also dropped more than a half foot of snow on our nation's capital, forcing a different kind of government shutdown. Amber Strong has the story from a snowy Washington, D.C.
Things are pretty quiet here in the nation's capital, as if the partial government shutdown wasn't enough to keep folks away. 9 inches of snow seems to do the trick.
Across the D.C. area, federal offices are closed. But despite the shutdown and no pay, these federal workers are still tasked with keeping the walkway safe Sunday.
No one enjoys doing it. We do it because that's part of our job as it is right now.
In Northern Virginia, a state of emergency with more than 300 crashes. Even this sand truck overturning in the dangerous conditions. In the Midwest, nearly 20 inches of snow blanketed Missouri, resulting in nearly 50,000 power outages. And the nasty weather is being blamed for hundreds of flight cancellations and 10 deaths across the country, including 34-year-old Illinois State Trooper Christopher Lambert, who was struck and killed while investigating a crash along the interstate.
Had a young wife, a 1-year-old daughter, and we're sorry to lose him.
Friends of the young officer are warning drivers to move over when they see anyone on the side of the road. Despite the grim conditions, people are finding a way to make the best of it all.
Ready?
In Noblesville, Indiana, officers called to investigate kids sledding on a dangerous hill determined the scene was safe the best way they knew how. And Washtonians struck back against Old Man Winter with an old-fashioned snowball fight on the National Mall.
So much fun, I love it.
Now all of this you see around me is expected to refreeze, which could cause for tricky conditions. And it's not over yet. Forecasters are predicting another storm could hit the country this weekend. Amber Strong, CBN News, here in Washington.
In other news, the government shutdown is now in its 4th week with no end in sight. Efren Graham has more from the CBN Newsroom.
Gordon, over the weekend, Republican Senator Lindsey Graham encouraged President Donald Trump to look for a deal with Democrats.
I tried to see if we could open up the government for a limited period of time to negotiate a deal, and the president says, let's make a deal, then open up the government. Nancy Pelosi says, even if you opened up the government, I wouldn't fund a wall, so that's why I'm depressed.
Graham says he believes the president might make concessions on issues like DACA, allowing the Dreamers to stay in America. The president says if the Democrats don't want a deal, he'll declare a national emergency and find the money somewhere else. Hans Van Spakovsky of the Heritage Foundation tells CBN News the president has the legal authority to do so.
There are a lot of funds appropriated by Congress that go to particular federal agencies that are tied to a very particular purpose. On the other hand, there are appropriated funds that go to federal agencies that are not. He can do it, and it all depends on the White House finding money that's already been appropriated but isn't tied to a specific purpose.
Friday, the House voted to give back pay to the nearly 800,000 workers not getting a paycheck. The president is expected to sign the bill. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu announced Sunday Israel attacked an Iranian military target in Syria. Netanyahu also said Israel has hit hundreds of Iranian and Hezbollah targets in Syria in recent years in an ongoing campaign to eliminate Iranian threats near the northern border. He also said the IDF has destroyed the last of several Hezbollah tunnels it discovered running from Lebanon into northern Israel. You can get more on these stories at cbnnews.com. We'll be back with more of today's 700 Club right after this.